Economic fallout continues over Israel's political crisis surrounding the passage of the first bill of the government's contested judicial overhaul. On Tuesday, credit rating agency Moody's Investors Service warned its clients about the negative consequences and significant risks for Israel's economy and security situation. American banks are heeding those concerns. On Tuesday, U.S. investment bank Morgan Stanley lowered Israel's sovereign credit to a dislike stance, citing increased uncertainty about the economic outlook in the coming months. And Citibank issuing a warning to its clients. The environment in Israel is dangerous and challenging, urging caution and to wait for better and calmer markets. Meanwhile, Israel's startup sector is experiencing a severe brain and financial drain due to the political uncertainty. According to a survey by Startup National Central, which tracks the local tech ecosystems, 68% of Israeli startups are taking active steps to pull money and shift parts of their businesses out of Israel, including the withdrawal of cash reserves, moving their headquarters outside of Israel, relocating employees, and conducting layoffs. And to break down what all of this means for Israel, I'm joined by I-24 News tech and innovation reporter Ariel Levin-Waldman. Ariel, let's begin with this concerning warning from Moody's. How damaging is this for Israel's economy?
Ultimately, it's extremely damaging because much of Israel's economy is built on its startup sector. Remember that Israel has made a name for itself as the startup nation. It's propelled Israel from being, a modern nation into an economic power worth $500 billion as an economy with a population of less than 10 million people. That's pretty astounding when you're talking about the per capita GDP generated by such a small country. But without access to that ability to gain startup money and to gain international investing, that entire ecosystem is in severe jeopardy. And if you have every single bank and credit agency in the world saying that Israel is no longer a safe investment, well, you're not going to pull those international and primarily American investors that have trillions of dollars to throw around into your economy. Without it, your economy, well, I'm not going to say starves, but it's definitely not a very good position to be in.
For sure, and definitely not helping Israel's reputation. Are we already seeing the effects of these reports on the market and the value of the shekel drop?
Absolutely. We saw the shekel itself drop 1.6% versus the dollar, and that was only the beginning. The actual markets here at the stock exchange opening at minus 4% versus the earlier in the week statements that we were seeing. So definitely already seeing those speculation drops, and once the speculation starts, you start to see other things start to snowball from there unless something is done. What does this mean in the short term and the medium term? The next questions. Well, in the medium term, we are talking about less cash in the Israeli ecosystem, which means the government forced to try to generate revenues in other ways that could imply higher taxation on the middle classes who are already struggling in the aftermath of the global financial crisis that we're going through right now. Increase in mortgage rates, which is going to be backbreaking for anybody that bought in the current market.
Which are already very high.
Obscenely high, given that the prices were already obscenely high, massively overvalued as it was. So we are looking at very serious economic headwinds for Israel. It might not be an economic doomsday, but it is certainly not good indicators.
Absolutely. And turning to this survey that states that 68% of Israeli startups are taking active steps to pull money and shift their businesses out of Israel. What more can you tell us about this report?
Well, think about that. Look, are they all going to do that? It's not certain because there is still a great amount of skilled people in Israel, particularly skilled tech people. There have been enormous amounts of investments both by the government and the private sector into that tech sector, which means that pulling and running is not easy. But pulling and running the financial side of things, that's a lot easier than pulling the startups themselves. And smart businesses are very likely going to take steps to protect their cash if it looks like the judiciary itself is no longer independent and able to actually stand up to the government. Because one of the most stable indicators of a safe nation to invest in is having a strong judiciary. Just think of the basic logic involved. Are you going to invest in a nation if you think that your investment is going to be wiped out overnight? No, of course not. Right. And we've seen this in other countries, most notably Venezuela. The moment the government said, yeah, we're going to nationalize all of your property, and we stacked the Supreme Court with our yes men to make sure we can do it, every single international business left and everybody starved. That's what happened in Venezuela. We're not not comparing Israel to Venezuela, but that is the sort of indicator that investors look for. If they do not believe that their investments are safe from government overreach, they will not invest because there's nothing to protect them if the government decides that they want to overreach and act in a predatory manner.
Are we hearing anything from the Israeli government in regards to these reports?
Look, the Israeli government says this is transitory. It's all going to quiet down as soon as the protests stop. Look, it's not transitory because ultimately market stability is based on public perception. The entirety of markets as we know it are based on whether or not people have confidence in them. And as long as you have hundreds of thousands of people running out into the middle of the street and saying the sky is falling, there's no confidence in the market. You have the tech sector saying that we're going to run away, we're going to leave. If I'm an external investor, I'm not going to invest in that ecosystem. Even if I know it's going to be stable in a year from now, well, what's going to happen? I'm going to wait for a year while my money goes down, while my money goes up in smoke? Why would I do that when I can invest in another country where things are a little more stable, even if the actual returns might not be as high?
Absolutely. Well, let's hope this is just a bump in the road and not the end for Israel's tech sector. Ariel Levin-Waldman, thank you very much.